right, test, test, test. You can hear me. So my talk is in English. I hope that's okay. Woo, English. I see you like kind of, excited this morning. So yeah, maybe before we get started, yeah, I consider myself a software developer. Maybe by show of hands, who is a software developer here? All right, all right. And delivering software to cloud systems, maybe also by show of hands. All right, embedded systems, hardware, mobile. All right, all right. Okay. Yeah, because like the CI/CD is different a little bit in every area that you work in. So yeah, as I said, my name is Simon. I'm the chief architect. I'm a cloud guy, so I really like cloud native stacks and do a lot of Python, Go, C#, and yeah, there's also my LinkedIn handle. I'm also a mentor here at the local school in School 42 of Berlin. That's an engineering school where I teach a little bit about software engineering and delivery. I work for a small startup. Basically, yeah, not a small startup, but one of the largest enterprise software providers. So we have around 100,000 employees and 300 different software products. Yeah, SAP it's a quite large enterprise, and basically I'm going to tell you a little bit the CI/CD story of one of these products. As mentioned before, the product is called Field Service Management. It's a solution that basically helps to, when there's a broken machine and the technician needs to go to the machine, then our software helps to facilitate that process, right? Like, so we have mobile, we have a web part, where then basically the technician takes the mobile to the machine, fixes, and sends the data back up in the cloud. What's special about our solution is it's an acquisition, so we got acquired by SAP, so it's not in-house built on SAP technology. But yeah, we consider ourselves as like kind of full software as a service kind of, and yeah, we have some figures there, so we do have 99.9 whatever availability. We do full DevOps and CI/CD culture. We deliver to 9 different regions around the world. Have like 70 microservices, 50 micro front ends, 3 native mobile solutions, and we do around 750 deployments a month. So that's more or less kind of in terms of scale. Now we are, I think, yeah, around 200 people in the organization. And yeah, working on different stacks, Node.js, Java, iOS, basically, you can see it here on the slide. So SAP in general has a very long time and history for software delivery. So I think founded in the 70s, basically back then delivery meant to ship the engineers on site that were basically going into on the machines, developing the software directly on the machine itself. And then in the 70s and 80s, that was like kind of the classical how you would ship. And I think around the 2000, SAP also then changed to a more cloud-based delivery system. And yeah, you can see here I also got some screenshots of like back then we were publishing our roadmaps also as books. So what's also a little bit interesting. And around 2010, that's kind of when SAP really focused on cloud and let's say portal web-based architectures. And in 2015, that's basically when SAP said, yeah, okay, we want to be a cloud-first company, and that's around the time when also my story with SAP started. That's the time when we got acquired. Nowadays, in 2025, there's like again a new shift inside of SAP, going to an AI-first company. I will also talk about that a little bit in the later slides. So, but like rewinding. Before we joined SAP, 2018, so the acquisition was 2019, so 1 year before that, we had like something that we called Operation Hardcore, right? Like, so a really intense name, but it was also a very intense time because that was more or less our first, how we call it, DevOps transformation, right? Like, it was a 3-month project of the entire engineering team, basically being hands-on, no feature delivery during that time, but basically just focusing on the transformation. And the goal was kind of full empowerment and full responsibility with the fast feedback loop for every team. So we changed not only from a technical perspective, from, I don't know, delivery, where we would have like zip files that were uploaded to Jira, where then somebody from operations was SSHing into a server to copy the zip file over or something like that, to a full automated deployment using Kubernetes. So that was kind of revolutionary back then. Now I guess a lot of you guys are doing the same. But for us back then, also the notion of understanding pipelines as like kind of something that runs fully automated and brings the applications to production was the goal. And here we also discovered that obviously you need tests, right? So a lot of time from these 3 months also went into writing tests. And monitoring was also something that that we understood. Without monitoring, obviously, we can't really understand how applications run online. So that was also something that we set as a must-have. All right. But also, more transformative, I would say, during that time, we switched also how our organization works. So we, before that, we had like front-end teams and back-end teams and mobile teams and QA teams and so on. And basically around that time, we kind of went with this empowered team terminology, where you have a team with a leader, or product manager, product owner, however, a leader of the team that focuses on the what. And the team inside of the nice team box focusing on the how, right? Like so, and here going after really cross-functional. So you see here cloud and web and mobile and quality, all of these disciplines working together within the team to work on the mission, and also being fully empowered to basically also decide when and what to deploy. So that was a big transformational step for us that helped us to really move fast together with the pipelines that we established. And yeah, but then the acquisition came, and yeah, we had to face a couple of other challenges, right? Like so, working for a big enterprise, for us as a startup, it was like fairly easy to deliver stuff fast. But then with the enterprise scale of dealing with 20 times bigger customers, or ensuring the compliance and the quality at that scale was just really a challenge for us. So then. SAP obviously had back then a lot of compliance tooling already, a lot of things also in Excel lists, I have to say. Yeah, and that kind of was like also a little bit for us a challenge coming out of this big transformation that we had with going after full automation, and then now in the enterprise environment with compliance and a lot of SAP standards. Nowadays, SAP has evolved there obviously a lot. So we have established, yeah, it's a mouthful, the secure software development and operations lifecycle. Some of you might know it, but I think here the most important part is obviously this part in the middle, where you have the security coming into play. That basically every delivery has security baked in, and it's kind of also automated, right? Like so, coming from this automation world where we had like already delivery, meaning deploying and maybe building completely automated. Also now we are going for full automation for security. So meaning when there's like a security issue or like a license issue or something like that detected in the code, the pipeline stops and it needs to be covered. Yeah, so that kind of worked nice, I would say. So basically we were able to ship. But then I think in 2023, around that time, we kind of realized we do have still some issues, right? Like so, with the tooling that we have introduced so early in 2018, we now landed with like with the slide up in the corner with a lot of things that were basically glued together by a lot of bash code, yeah, we had like a lot of pain there, right? Like so, especially because our orchestrator was going out of support. Also, the tools were not well integrated. As I said, a lot of bash script. And then, yeah, it was also super hard to replicate, right? Like, so scaling with an enterprise, right? Like, we kind of went also from 80 to 150 people, then to 200 people. You have more teams that need to deliver. And then how do you keep up with the pipelines when you have a pipeline tool where you need to click everything, right? Like, so a lot of clicking, a lot of inconsistencies and stuff like that. So also there, it was clear for us we had to go for something that is automated, and yeah, that's this pipeline as code approach. Staying compliant for us was also a big issue. SAP had like has central tooling that basically that enforces that every product at SAP kind of follows the same security and the same compliance regulations. So also here we wanted to integrate into the central tooling to just make it easier for every team that is end-to-end responsibility that has end-to-end responsibility for their pipelines, of course, but they don't have to go through every hoop again by themselves. And also something that we discovered in 2023 was the missing transparency, more or less, right? Like, so we had the feeling we were shipping super fast, but kind of understanding what does that mean was also something essential. And here, a lot of you might know them. There are these from DORA, the DevOps and Research Assessment organization that is now part of Google Cloud. They have these nice KPIs. So there was this lead time for change, kind of how fast can you get a change through your pipeline into production. Then the deployment frequency, how often do you do that? Once a week, every 2 weeks, every day, every half a year, right? Like, and then when you get code into production, and how often does it fail? That's more or less the last in the right corner here, the change failure rate. So because it doesn't help, obviously, if you ship super fast, but every time you crash. And then when you crash, and it's down here, the time to restore, how long does it take you to kind of roll back the changes that you had? If you have like these 4 KPIs and you measure them, that tells you a lot about in which direction you want to go. I mean, here, I think also for every product and every team, it's a little bit different, right? Like some teams, they can't deliver software that fast or change things that fast. They kind of need to announce software, or maybe it's like mobile, where you kind of can't ship every commit and do a new version for that. So I think basically measuring these KPIs is for sure a good thing. And there's like also I put a link here to dora.dev where you can learn a little bit more about them. But also around that time, I think 2 new engineering disciplines were more or less born within our organization. So we discovered that with all of this automation tooling, it's super cool to have it, but like if every single team needs to maintain the same tooling again and again, it's also, let's say, you build it and you run it the hard way, I would say. We introduced platform engineering as an engineering discipline, so where we have dedicated engineers that only focus on the tooling and the delivery and the operation tooling that we have, so that every single team can benefit from what we have built. Additionally, we also introduced site reliability engineering. So there's like an engineering discipline that basically only focuses on monitoring and incident response, like operations kind of. And that's also, again, to have to ease the pain of this common best practices, let's say. And here, I think this site reliability engineering, it's really impactful, because I think when we started with adding monitoring to all of our applications, that was already good, right? Like, but we had like every team had different dashboards and different alerts and different ways how to restart the services and different procedures, and that's kind of obviously cool if the team can really handle the software end-to-end in production as well. But we realized that going for a more standardized approach enables us to do what we now do on call for everybody, right? Like, so we came up with this approach that we have what we call Tridem. It's basically a manager and 2 software engineers, quote-unquote software engineers, that basically go on call for a week, and it rotates every week. And it's basically everybody in the engineering team can do it, because the tooling is so stupid simple that kind of you can't mess up, more or less. And I know there was like, in the beginning, there was like a lot of hesitation. I don't know the applications, and I don't know what to do, but like, because everything is so much automated, there are only, I don't know, there's a rollback button, and there is like a scaling button, and if that doesn't help, then you need to escalate, right? So, and this model works super nice for us, because we could like catch and heal a lot of production incidences like this already, and I think it's also nice for the engineering teams. So maybe fast forward to now and what might come in the future. So we have invested already a lot in automating and how to get to CI/CD. We started with, bash scripts, deploying from somebody's laptop, going over automated pipelines, and then focusing more on security and compliance. And I think now, it's like everywhere, right? Copilots and agents and like kind of these things. I think the next big thing there is going to be something, I don't know, agentic DevOps, I called it. Let's see if the name fits, but more or less what we are doing already now is, I think all of our teams are doing it, is basically making code reviews better. Using AI to analyze the code, summarizing key changes, doing impact analysis, checks for performance or accessibility, kind of these topics, and just summarizing that for another engineer to read this. I think that's a very great start and an easy way to introduce AI into let's say, the pipelines. But I think it's going to go a little bit farther, also by reading the last DORA report, what developers use AI for nowadays. And you see here, there's obviously also debugging and writing documentation and stuff like that. But number one is obviously writing new code. Right? So that means that more new code is being produced by AI. And also here, SAP did a big move together. Also, Microsoft did also some key announcements here in the last couple of weeks, where in beginning of November, SAP announced the Agent Studio as basically a full-grown AI development environment for everything that's built on SAP technology, right? It has like pro code agents and agent-to-agent protocols and so on. So meaning where basically agents take over and do the full software development lifecycle when it comes to writing the code, right? From analysis to testing to optimization and like kind of these topics. And here I think GitHub is, Microsoft, they are taking it a little bit further. I was there in Munich, I think 6 weeks ago, and I was like completely blown away by talking to the GitHub team. So they are now releasing these agents that they are like kind of fully integrated into GitHub. And they can like start working directly from a GitHub issue. You can like say, yeah, implement, and then the agent picks up the issue, goes full implementation, and comes back with a pull request, right? So, yes, we need the code quality still is arguable, right? Like so, but I think that's where the processes are moving, right? Like so, and not only when it comes to code, but also in operations. So our partners at Dynatrace, they are also heavily investing into this Davis AI copilot that basically, reads metrics and does forecasting, and right now still has like a is focused heavy on human and user input, but I think there are already the first notions that like kind of these agents go and operate fully autonomously on in production, restarting services, scaling them, and so on, based on the inputs that they get. Are we ready for this? I'm not sure. I just 3 weeks ago I was like on a meetup in a panel where there was the question, would you be comfortable having an agent joining you in a high-stakes outage call? And also on that evening, there was like another guy who was working on agents a lot, and he said, yeah, building an agent, it feels a little bit like, having a teenager. And I really like this picture of like kind of a teenager coming into my high-stakes outage call where the entire cluster is on fire and asks for, I don't know, Coca-Cola or something like that, right? So, meaning I think we are not yet there, but I think it's happening anyways, right? Like, so the industry is going in this direction, the tooling will evolve, and that's also what we are preparing for. So maybe closing the loop with our different organizational changes that we have, I think the next big move will be something where we would have agents joining our cross-functional teams as like being one of the players also within the team to solve our software needs in the future. That's all I have. Now I'm happy to take questions if there are any.
Any questions from the audience? By the way, use the microphone, if any. Here. Microphone, if possible, because you have to remember that we have people participating in the online stream, so they understand the question then better.
Even for them, I can shout, but no. Thank you so much for the presentation. It was really cool. Right. I'm none of the things that you asked in the beginning. I'm an agile team coach, and I'm so interested in a little bit of maybe your idea. How will the developers and project leads or whatever they are, what do you call them, going to change their jobs if we start adding, or we continue adding all of these agents and we continue adding all of this automation? So how does the job of us change, according to you? Thank you.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, obviously I don't know, but what I think will happen is these agents. I think they are more like kind of, let's say, junior developers that need a lot of mentoring and oversight, right? Similar, like when you have a senior software engineering team and you add a junior to it, also you don't let the junior work on your core directly without any code reviews, right? Like, so I think there will be a similar relationship happening with the agents to, yeah, basically have them work on smaller, easy stuff that is then fully in oversight by a senior engineer, and yeah, I think that's more or less what the working model most probably will look like. More questions?
Yeah, so also thanks for the talk. We often notice that code for observing production systems and like integration tests has quite some similarities that we often want to know for the new code. What metrics does it change? Those are usually similar or the same metrics that we also want to know for production. Do you have any experience, do you have like especially like observability libraries that you share across integration tests and production systems and monitoring, or? Yeah.
All right, good question. So I think here we do have, so in our setup, we have multiple environments that are basically chained after each other. So we kind of start with the dev environment, and then we promote to a quality environment, and then we go from environment to environment. And basically all of these environments, they all follow the same observability metrics, and they also trigger alerts, right? Like, so that, for example, if you run some performance tests and the CPU goes hot in that cluster, you would basically get the same alert as if it would be happening in production, but like a little bit muted. So, and that is something that we have established to kind of have this unifying setup of the environment, but also the tooling and the libraries that like do, for example, log shipping and I don't know, Prometheus integration, stuff like that. All of that is also managed by our platform engineering team to kind of take that ease also out of every developer's team.
Cool. Thanks.
Okay.
Yeah. More questions? We would still have.
Thank you for the presentation. My question is, when you are using AI to review the code, considering that a lot of code, it is written with AI by developers, in order to avoid a sort of reviewing by the same person who write it, do you use a different model for writing it and then a different model for evaluating it, or just prompt it's enough?
To be honest, I think we didn't think about that one. So I mean, because usually currently in our organization, not that much production code is written by AI, right? Like, so we are like kind of experimenting with the pull requests a lot and doing like isolated POCs for non-production code. But yeah, that's actually a good thought to ensure that not the same AI writes the code that is reviewing.
Okay. Still time for one more question? Oh, then last question now.
Thanks for the talk. My question is more about, you mentioned technology, you mentioned platform, but you also mentioned independent teams. How do you organize now that technology is aligned, that teams follow the same tech stack and that they don't take now a technology which is super exotic, So how do you organize this in the organization?
Good question. That's more or less my team and my role in the organization. So more or less, we have a small team of, I would say, very experienced developers and architects that basically help to enforce a lot of these things. So we have a bunch of guidelines, internal guidelines that say, yeah, you are allowed to use Node.js and you are allowed to use Go. But if you want to bring something new, you need to kind of open a formal request for that and need to kind of prepare a document, why should we use this, and so on and so on. So that's like how we try to govern it. Obviously, the bigger the organization, the harder it's going to be like this, right? Like, so you will not catch everything like this. But that's why also, my team also scouts out and reads a lot of code to see if everybody's following the same patterns. So that's kind of the responsibility of my team.
Okay. Dan, thanks a lot, Simon, for the presentation.